Okay, so we are with, this is a weird position. Okay, bang. Okay. So today we are with Sylvia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Nicole.
Oh man, I switched the names. Okay, so Sylvia and Nicole. Okay, so what are you guys doing here today?
Taking a walk.
Yeah.
Taking a walk.
It's an evening walk.
How do you guys know each other?
We're partners.
Oh, that's nice. How long have you guys been partners for?
A little over 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, so they were just walking, and I just came over to them and just asked them if they wanted to interview, and they said yes. And yeah, so first question is like, do you have any like wisdom or advice, just like life advice?
I think for me the biggest one is just be okay to be unique and live your truth in the best way that you know how. Like if you love art, do art and express in whatever way that you feel free to do so. If that's in dressing eclectically or wearing your hair a certain way or just enjoying the things that you like to enjoy, even if it's not popular, just do it.
Sometimes I like I want to like just like scream music like on the top of my lungs, but sometimes I want to dance, I say like in the car.
Yeah.
But like I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna like look weird. Should I do it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every time, especially if you're in the car, like that should be a safe space, right? That should be your space. Like even if someone's in the car next to you, I know I've been embarrassed many a times because I had the window down and forgot I did and started singing, like some Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons really loudly. And then I noticed the people at the stoplight next to me would be cracking up laughing. And in the end, I'm like, that was kind of a cool moment for both of us. So worth it, And that's the kind of moments you should have. Like embarrass yourself a little bit and then kind of almost grow from that because you feel better about just being you.
Mm-hmm.
So you think like embarrassment isn't like a bad thing?
Not always.
I think it's whatever value you assign to it, right? So if you, sorry, I feel like a bug flew up my nose. Like if in a moment you're like, wow, that is not something I would have done if I would have planned it. But in the end you're like, but it's fine. I think there's something really empowering in that moment to feel like you might have been embarrassed, but then be able to sit back and look at yourself and realize like nothing bad happened. It kind of opens you up to do a lot more with your everyday life and makes you feel better about no matter what decision you make, even if it doesn't turn out so great, you're like, it's okay. It keeps going anyway.
Yeah, like sometimes like when I be like going to people, like sometimes I'm like scared like getting rejected, like going up to strangers asking for interviews because I feel like, oh no, they're gonna think of me weird, like they're gonna think I'm weird. But then I get rejected, but then I just like keep moving on, even though like sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, you should keep at it. I think it's, I don't know, I think it says something that you want to actually have physical conversations with people in the, technology age that we are in, especially with, everything with being AI and just no contact and all of that. So like to have a real conversation with a real human it's nice.
Honestly, like that's kind of like what I want to do with like the YouTube channel. Like I want to like talk to people. I want to just like learn from them, like learn from you guys.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay, second question is what's one of your favorite songs right now? I'm gonna add to like a playlist because I'm gonna have like a playlist of like everything.
We just watched the Luther Vandross documentary, so I've just been singing Luther Vandross songs.
Hey, what documentary is that?
I think it's just called Luther or Luther Vandross. Yeah, the Luther I don't even think it's like Luther Vandross story or anything. It's just,
I don't even remember what it's called, but like any of his songs I've been singing, like Superstar. I don't know. What is that? What was the last one that I was singing? What is it even called?
I don't know. I had Power of Love when we walked out. So. And the one that's in a house.
Never Enough.
Not a home. Yeah, that one.
Yo, you can sing?
No. That's all. That's probably the extent of it. But yeah, it's but yeah, we like watching music documentaries, and so yeah, we were in between. We were considering starting another one, and we're like, we should probably go take a walk. So here we are.
And so that guy Luther is his name?
Luther Vandross.
He's an artist? Like he's a singer?
Oh yeah, he was really big for a lot of years, and we found out a lot more years than we even realized.
Ooh, it's a spider.
Oh, sure is. Sorry.
I didn't freak out.
I'm proud of you.
You usually freak out?
Yeah.
It was shocking that she stayed on the bench.
Probably because I knocked it off and I saw it crawling
The fact
away.
that it
So
touched her and she stayed on the bench says a lot.
Wait. Let me answer the call. Hello?
I felt it and I
Can
was
I
like,
call you later?
It's big.
Yeah, that was kind of gnarly looking.
I'm doing an interview right
Yeah, it didn't have like long legs, so it actually wasn't as scary.
now. Yeah.
And like a big butt.
Okay. Well,
But did it move its arms?
love you.
I didn't wait to find out. Yes. Luther Vandross. Yeah, you should check him out.
Wait, well, how do you spell his name? Luther, what's the last name?
VAN.
Luther Vandross. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see him. Oh, dang, he's pretty big.
Yeah.
He's pretty big.
Yeah.
What's love? And he said, what song did he say? Power of Love?
I mean, Power of Love is definitely
Superstar.
a big one.
Never enough or never too
Oh
much.
yeah, Never Too Much.
Yeah, never too much. Whatever. There's a bunch of songs.
Yeah, Never Too Much is definitely a good one because we were saying that one's timeless.
Okay, I'm gonna add to playlist. I'm gonna have to listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was introduced to him via my parents, but he was also on the radio when I was in elementary school, and I still like his music, even though it was like grown-up music to me then, and now I like it in my own right. So worth listening to.
That's sweet. What do you learn about him, like in the documentary? Like, what do you learn about him? Anything interesting?
Yeah, we didn't realize that like he struggled with an eating. Well, it wasn't even really an eating disorder, but so much as we knew that he had like issues with his weight. Like throughout the years, he would be really like thin, and then he would gain weight. But in the documentary, it talked a lot more about like how or why he was going through that, like the stress or emotional things that would trigger his weight fluctuation. But like back in the 90s and 80s, tabloids and stuff just made it a big deal. And anytime someone interviewed him, they talked about his weight. And it, I think, really is probably what influenced, or I don't know, made his body kind of give out.
Yeah, it was really interesting to me that he'd been around a lot longer than I realized. Like, he had started out doing like Sesame. He was in a group when Sesame Street first came out, and the group he was with was in Sesame Street, and then there are all of these artists that were really big through, especially the 80s and 90s, that he had worked with or that he co-wrote songs with, like David Bowie. He was, he co-wrote many of David Bowie's songs, and I was like, I never knew that, so it's kind of cool. Yeah.
That's a better learning knowledge than.
Oh, it's good stuff though.
Well, what's your favorite song right now?
My favorite song, the song that I just literally listened to right now is called like Bulletproof by La Rocks.
Oh, I used to listen all the time. It's on my room playlist.
Yeah, that song is such a good song. Like, it's a classic song. Like,
Yeah, I like that one.
Like, I was like listening to it. I was like kind of like singing to it, like down the driving.
Yeah, that's
cool.
a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know if I have a favorite song right now. So I've been driving my son's car that has a CD player, and I've got all these CD books that I'd made mix CDs on back in like the early 2000s, and so I've been taking them out and listening to mix CDs, and it's been super
Wait, for real?
nostalgic.
Mix
Yeah.
CDs?
Yeah, it's been super nostalgic to do. So
That's fire.
so like my favorites right now are my favorites from when I was 22 and 23 at the moment, just because it's so nostalgic and kind of fun. The songs are actually a lot way worse than I remember them being. They're not that good, but I love them. So yeah.
You guys both seem like super chill, like super chill and down to earth.
That's pretty accurate.
Wait, what do you guys describe yourself? Like, this is a question I've never asked. Like, 3 words to describe yourself.
I almost feel like it'd be better if we described each other.
You can do that. You can do
Actually,
that.
you'd probably be really good. Go ahead. Describing yourself. You have to do that more regularly than I do.
I guess. Yeah, I would say I am pretty calm, like just laid back. I have a good sense of humor and adventurous. Yeah.
Mine would probably start with adventurous. No, I should. My probably my strongest is curious.
Okay.
I'd say I'm very curious. I'm very adventurous, and I'm very strong-willed. It's come up a lot. So lately.
Why do you say you're strong-willed? Like, how does it come up?
I think I've tried to make cultivating something in myself to make me feel more comfortable with giving definitive answers. There's a lot of times I think when people ask questions, you change how you would normally respond, or it's like, say someone asks you if you want to go out and do something, but you don't actually want to go out, right? It's like a whole battle that happens inside you to figure out like how to manage that. Like, do I actually want to go out? And if I don't want to go out, how do I tell them, etc. And being in a space where I can just look at them and say, nah, I'm like, not tonight. Tonight's gonna be a home night, and just be comfortable in that space is good. But I think there's a pendulum in that, and so for me sometimes I can like push it too far to the side of like, well, you could have softened that blow just a little bit, and so now I'm that's somewhere for me to be. But then I don't want to bend either, because I'm determined to be comfortable with my answers, and then it makes me not bend probably as much as I should.
That sounds like complicated. Like, how do you like balance that?
One decision at a time. It's probably the best answer I could give.
Okay. Yeah. And you both are adventurous?
Yes.
How?
Just trying new things. Travel.
What's the craziest thing that you guys have tried? Like, craziest experience? Like, what are the craziest things?
I don't know.
I've done a lot of things though.
Actually, yours would be a lot more crazy than mine.
Well, I was just thinking, even just on the experimenting thing, can I tell them about the skating?
Yeah.
So she was recently it was called a no talent show, where you're supposed to just like pick a talent that you don't know how to do, and you have 6 months to figure out how to do it.
Okay,
and she wanted to do skate dancing, and so for the last 6 months she did like try to teach herself skate dancing, and then was in this little talent show that was super cute and fun. Yeah. So
that's sweet.
You know what I mean? Like that's an adventure in its own.
I guess that would be one of the crazier things for me.
Yeah, that's fun.
How do you skate dance? Like, how does it work? Like,
just trying to like skate with rhythm.
This is also something you should look up. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah, anything that you can do without skates that you're trying to dance. Like, if you're dancing, like for example, like the moonwalk. Like people do that with skates on, or anything else, like any other dance that you've seen, just being able to do that, but with skates. Yeah. I did a line dance, like.
Look up skate culture.
Skate culture?
Yeah, just look up skate culture and you'll see some of it. It's incredible. It's incredible the athleticism and rhythm people can combine to do things at skate. And these are like adults. Most of them. These are like full-grown adults on roller skates doing amazing things.
Some people have done it like since they were a kid, and you'll see videos of people that are like 70 that are still like skating with rhythm and like doing cool stuff.
Yeah, like imagine when people do ballroom dancing, and people like, who have been partnered in ballroom dancing for years, and the way they seem like they can move together. There are couples who do this on skates. Like,
oh, no.
Yes, and they're going around the circle in the skating rink and doing all of these dips and throws and going between the legs and all of
that. Sounds sick.
It's really cool. Just you should look it up. For me, my adventurous is a lot of times it has to do with like just going to new places or pushing myself to see how much I can do. Like I do the TVT. Have you ever heard of the TVT challenge? So there's a hike challenge sponsored by Dayton Hikers. Now I feel like a commercial, but they're awesome. So there's a hike challenge that goes from Germantown to Twin Valley and back, and it's a 30-mile hike challenge. And so I did that at the beginning of the month, and it was great, And I try to do it every year because I never know each year if I'm going to be able to finish it or not. And so I do the hike challenge, or I'll travel to a city without a real plan and just go and try to conquer the city and see what all I can see, meet whatever people are there. We do that a lot. We go and we do. One of the things that we like to do is we go to different cities and we do art. What do we call it? Like a mural hunt.
What's that?
An art escape.
Yeah, an art escape. So we go and we look for street art. So we're looking for murals, or we're going and finding like small locally owned galleries and those kinds of things. And we just start like meeting people in wherever the art scene is in that city and trying to find all the places where there's, art that's in public spaces. So, but yeah, we'll just go to a city and we'll try to find all the art. And then in that process, we find restaurants, we find different museums and things like that while we're there. So we do that like almost monthly, it feels like.
That sounds like really fun, I can't lie. Like, that sounds like really fun.
It is. It
You should
really
definitely
is.
try it.
Yeah, just do an art escape. And the nice thing about it is if you're looking for public art, it's free. So it's not like you have to have a lot of money. Like, you just got to be able to get there. You get there and then you can spend the whole day just looking for cool murals and taking pictures of them or whatever else you might want to do. It's fun.
Do you guys ever see like one that just blew your mind?
I feel like
time.
every city has at least a few that they're incredible. And then it's really fun too because we'll, find that artist on Instagram or something and we'll follow them and we've never met them, and then next thing you know, like we've got this like connection and like a local connection in a city, and then we find out when the next events are coming up and we go back. So yeah, it's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Do you have any regrets in your life, and like how do you deal with your regrets?
I feel like I used to, and now I look at them as opportunities where I had the chance to grow and learn something. And had I not grown or learned from that experience, I probably wouldn't be where I am today, type of thing. So, like, yeah, I used to look back and be like, oh, I should have never did this, or I would have done this differently or whatever. But it's more so now I can just say, like, dang, that was crazy. But, I'm glad that it turned out okay in the end. So
Yeah, sometimes like I'd be feeling bad about my regrets. Like I'm like, dang, why'd I do that? Like I always be feeling bad, but like I don't know like how to deal with that sometimes. Like I don't know like because I try like learning from it, but at the same time it's like it kind of like weighs you down.
And sometimes we repeat and that feels even
Exactly,
worse.
exactly.
I get it. I think when it comes to, I can't say that I feel like I regret things the way that I used to. I mean, there's definitely things that I'm like, it would have been kind of nice if that would have went differently, and I think there's something different in even just the language you use around the choices that you make. So there's a big difference when you're just like, man, I sucked when I made that choice versus, man, if I would have known then, if I would have known now, this is a different choice I would make, is taking some of that space out and just understanding like, well, you only had the knowledge you had at that time. And I think that for me, that's how I deal with that, and I have to remember that no matter what, like no day is like any day before it. So like in one day you may make a decision and, later on you're like, oh, that was a horrible decision. The next day you may make the same decision over again, but like that day was totally different than the last one. And so, the only thing you could do is like, all right, well now I got to be better, or at least take probably even in that same decision that looked the same, it was probably actually a little different. When you really, really think about it, like let's say you're trying to kick a habit, right? We'll keep it something simple.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to eat less sugar, you say something like that. And one day they got donuts at work, you eat the donut and then it's, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I knew I was trying to be better. Next day, you're making dinner and it's somebody's birthday and you have the birthday cake and you're like, okay, well, these are actually two very different situations. Yes, at the end of the day, there's sugar in both of the things, but it's like, yeah, this is a choice I made because I was bored at work, and this is a choice I made because I wanted to celebrate with somebody. And so it's all right, well, those are two different things. And like, the more we can look at things for what they are and not try to like lump everything you do in life as one big decision or one big mistake that you made, because none of it is that way. And I feel like the older you get, you start to realize like every season in your life you're the same person, but you're in totally different chapters. You know, and that can be within an hour or within a year. So, and you don't really know when the chapter changes. Like, you might feel like you do, but it won't be until later that you realize it had. So,
I feel like when it comes to regret, you don't realize that you've learned something from it until you've had some distance from it for a little while. You know, like, you don't always, it's not always like the next day or the next week you're like, well, I learned from that, you know? It's like you will sit in it for a little while, and then maybe like 6 months or a year later, you're like, you know, yeah, I'm glad I've grown from that, you know? Or you can just see some things a little bit differently. Like, man, that relationship did not go the way that I wish it did, but at least now I know what I'll do differently next time.
plus, when you're looking back, you realize there's so many things. Like, if you hadn't made the dumb decision, there's like some good thing that wouldn't have happened later. You know, like, I had a lot of really dumb friends, and we like probably wasted lots of times that we could have been making ourselves much more successful at life, right? But then when I look at like some of the people I'm friends with now, I was like, well, those people are from that really dumb time in my life, and now that this other big adult thing that has happened to me, I'm really glad that I had this person that I did the dumb stuff with, because they're still here. You know, or, you know, well, if I had gone to this college like I was supposed to, I would have never ended up in this city where I had this major opportunity that completely changed the path of my life. But again, you don't know that till later. So like, really, it's hard to regret something when you're like, well, just, you take every day. It was like, well, today this is where I'm at. What am I going to do with it?
You guys have wisdom. I can't lie. You guys have wisdom.
Thanks. It's just life. just living life. Yeah.
What do you mean by the chapters? Because you said like sometimes like you're in a chapter and then it ends and then you start the next chapter. What do you mean by chapters? Like, what do you mean by that? Because that's an interesting point.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What were you doing about this time last year?
This time last year, this July.
Yeah.
Or it's not June. It's June. I think I was just, I was just making stupid videos.
Okay.
But not like anything productive. And I think I was also like working, like I was tutoring math kids, like tutoring math for kids, and spending time with my family.
So what was the catalyst that made you want to start interviewing people?
My dad, he was like, the videos you're making right now is stupid and dumb. he said like this is low-key embarrassing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I watch my friends and stuff. Yeah. And then I like, when I heard that, I was like, I heard like, I was like, no, like, he's tripping, like. But then like later on, like, then I just stopped making videos for like a really long time. And then after that, I was like, maybe like, he is right. Like, maybe I should like make something more meaningful, like, you know what I'm saying?
That was your new chapter.
Yeah, it was like, you know, when you start asking yourself questions and then you pivot, like, you're probably starting a new chapter. You know, I mean, you're clearly not wherever you were before. Yeah. And then you also had an era where you were in between, and now you're sitting here with us at a park at 9:20 in the evening, watching the sunset and talking about like life philosophy. So I think it's pretty safe to say you've got different chapters. It's like the different eras in your life that kind of define whatever you end up being later. And some of them seem so insignificant, but you need them all, even those like low times, not like sad low, but just where it seems like you're in a lull. Sometimes those gap times are just they're the transition that you had to have. So.
Okay, I'm interested in what you guys have to say about this, because you guys just seem smart, like really smart, like you guys have advice. So like, I definitely want advice, like, so like, I'm scared about like sad times, like losing someone, like, because I haven't really like lost anyone that's close to me. I'm wondering like, how do I deal with that? Like, how do you guys deal with that? Like, how do I deal with like something that's so, because it kind of weighs on my mind sometimes, like, how am I gonna deal with that? Am I gonna lose myself? Like,
wow, it's interesting timing.
Yeah.
This question. You ready for a story?
Yeah, of course.
I'll make it short. I lost my son in January, my only child, and we just had a massive celebration of life event for him on Saturday. So
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thanks. You never know until you're there. And I think when it comes to dealing with it, I think the more you... I think when you lose someone is a time where you learn about yourself more than anybody else. Because you question all kinds of things, like you know, did you make the most out of the relationship you had with them? Did you make decisions that you're proud of? If it was your last conversation what you would have wanted it to be? So when you asked about regrets, of course, I'm thinking through some of those things. And when it comes to grief, I heard and read that, what grief really is when you've got love and nowhere to put it, and that's really where that is. And so it's really, you've got all this love to give and no one, it's just there, and the place that you want to put it isn't there. And, when it comes to loss, and any loss, there's the side where, dealing with it's an interesting term to use, but do you get lost in that loss, and does that loss become what defines you, and in what way does it define you? Because I think some people, the grief isn't really the loss of even the other person, it's the loss of self, because you probably have people in your life that anchor you, and who you are revolves around their presence.
Yeah.
And so, when you lose someone, you feel like you lose some of yourself. And so getting through that is, what does it take to find an anchor that's internal instead of external, which can be really, really hard, especially if the foundation wasn't there in the first place. So, when you talk about regrets and asking about yourself and things you do in life, it is so valuable to ask yourself those questions all the time, because then when the really hard things happen, you're kind of used to having those conversations already, even when it's just with yourself. And then those are the times that you kind of remember who you are, and who you want to be, because that looking forward thing is really important, because the world's going to keep moving no matter what, and you're going to move with it, but what are you going to do with it? So it's tough. Still, I think we never run out of people to lose.
Yeah.
And so I think we're always a little bit still reeling from the last one and scared of the next one. And maybe that's kind of a state that we all kind of live in, and it's always a little scary.
Yeah.
I feel like the only way to prepare for losing someone is to just continue to live and make the most of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're never going to be prepared fully, but if you have that person that you lost, and the only thing you can think about is that you didn't make the best of the time with them, then it's going to be a lot harder than if you know that you sat there and you're like, you know what? We had a lot of great memories together. It didn't turn out this way or that way before they left or whatever, or I wish I could have said goodbye and all these things, but there were so many days before that you were able to embrace them and welcome them in and not say goodbye. Like, you said hello to them so many times more than you said goodbye, maybe,
Yeah.
So if you can live your life in a way that you are just appreciating the things and the people that you have in the moment, I think maybe it'll be better when they're not there.
My son and I, we called them our thankfuls before every meal. And so every time we ate anything, we'd be like, okay, what's your thankful? And we couldn't ever, the kind of rule was you couldn't just say something like, I'm thankful for today. Like, you couldn't say something bland like that. You had to pick something specific.
Yeah.
Be like, even if it was something like, I'm thankful I finished my homework before 9 today, or, I'm thankful that I caught all the green lights on the way to work. Or it could be something like, I'm really thankful that I got, I was able to see my friend that I hadn't seen in 4 years, and you just, it kind of recenters you to the good things.
Yeah, because like I'm really close to my grandparents, and they're like still around, and like sometimes like I feel like I'm not like, even though I feel like I probably am like, and like even though I don't know her, like I feel like I do spend a lot of time with them, and like I do a lot for them, but I feel like I'm like wasting so much time. I need to do more with them. I need to do more, and like I feel like it's kind of scares me. Like it kind of like I beat myself up for like not doing as much as I should.
I mean, have you interviewed them?
You should. That's something I wish I would have done.
Like I lost my mother, and like before she passed, we did like, and it wasn't in anything that I thought about, because I mean we knew she had cancer, so we knew she was gonna go, and it was like, tell your life story, and I got to ask her questions. The lady that facilitated was asking questions that I never thought to ask. Like I'm like, that's my mom. Like, we talk every day, but to actually interview the elders in your life as if you never knew anything about them, you learn more about them.
Oh man, I did that for one of my college classes. I had to, my assignment was I had to interview someone over 70 and ask them what their school years were like and what employment was like and things like that. And so I called my mom's oldest sister, so the eldest aunt in my family, and she had such a spicy life, and I had no idea. And it was the coolest thing, hearing all those stories. And I'm like, I feel like I got family secrets now. Like nobody else knows about this but me. Like, and I thought that was so fun and cool. One of my friend's moms, when her dad passed, she called me up and asked me if I wanted to go on a road trip with her to Missouri. So we went to Uranus, Missouri. It is all the immaturity you can ask for. My friend's dad was a pastor. She's the pastor's wife, and she wanted to go to Uranus, Missouri to go like laugh at all the 13-year-old jokes. And I was like, if this is what you want, this is what we'll do. And it's like it's a lot of hours on the road. And she was telling me all kinds of stories about just her growing up and her first crush and all of these things. And like, it was so cool. So even, would I be super sad if I lost her tomorrow? Of course I would be, but like the thing I will hang up on is like, oh man, but that trip that we took to Uranus was and after that it's like harder to feel sad about the loss when you have something that was like so much bigger than that's irreplaceable, Yeah, so the more opportunities you can take to have those irreplaceable moments, the less I think you regret and the less fear you have of losing someone, because you've got like a whole bucket of them to take with you even if they're not here.
Yeah, you should totally do this.
Yes, do it.
Honestly, I'm gonna do it now. Like, because of you guys, like, I actually will do it. Because I was thinking about, like, I was pondering, like, whether I should do it, and you guys literally just like
yes, the hard yes.
Multiple. Not just one session is not going to be enough. Yeah. And then one day, like you can look back and be like, wow, I'm so glad that I have this. Like you can pass it to your kids or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have a big family?
Decently a big family. Yeah.
Okay, so in 2020 hit and I was super bored. I noticed that throughout my life, I had my aunts and uncles who would always talk about how they did Christmas, what they did for Christmas growing up. And so I got them all on a Zoom call and was like, okay, I've noticed that all of you have mentioned how Christmas was done, but not all of your stories are the same. So what I want to do is I want to get us all in and I want to hear what you guys have to say about Christmas. So I had all my dad's siblings like on a Zoom call and like arguing each other with like, no, because this was the year that we did this and it was so fun because I got to see like my dad and his siblings as siblings, and I'd never really seen it that way. It was like almost a glimpse into what they were like as kids, and I was like, wow, I feel like I just got a whole novel and movie and all of that all in one. And it was really cool. And then I called them individually and had asked them all these different questions, and the older that you get, the more tangents you go on, and maybe you're noticing that here. But I mean, it's really cool if you just like let them talk.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like that story. Like that story is like.
Hey, you'll find out probably way more than you think. Yeah. And they probably want to tell it. Honestly.
Yeah, when people get older, I feel like they sometimes may feel kind of forgotten, you know, like no one is interested in the knowledge that they have when so many times you talk to an elder and they're like excited to talk about a thing. 'Cause, like, when's the last time that someone asked them advice or how they did something when they were 20, you know?
Yeah, especially if it's something insignificant. Like, so, like, did you have any traditions, or like, what kind of stuff did you and your friends do when you were 16? Like, you know, like, it just, they will talk for the next hour, and it's cool. like things you would have never thought, and it makes you see them so differently. Yeah, there was one Thanksgiving I volunteered at a assisted living facility, and they told us, they're like, basically, you know, we're gonna serve the food. All you got to do is like sit and eat with them. I was like, anything else? And they're like, no, they'll take care of it. So, you know, there were a lot of residents where their families, they can only leave if their families come pick them up or whatever. And so a lot of them wouldn't. And so it was no kidding. I would sit down at a table, I'd have mashed potatoes and some corn, and and I'd be like, oh, so are you from here? And they'd talk to me for the next hour about where they're from and all the, well, I got married in 1957, but I was living in Montana and my dad was a farmer. And then, so if you really want some good interviews, go to an assisted living facility. They want company, and they've got so many stories. So.
Yeah, something I've been thinking about is like with older people, elderly people, like when you're younger, like you have so much happening, but like when you're elderly, I feel like the only thing like you really want, you don't want like money, you don't want any of that. I feel like you just want time with your loved one. Mm-hmm. That's something I've been thinking about.
Yeah. I think it's true.
I do too. Because they've probably lost more people than any of us.
Yeah.
So their perspective changes a lot. Like these questions you're asking, the older you get, probably the more you've lost and the more you've had to think about all of these things that you're asking us.
I didn't even think about that. I honestly don't think about that. Mm. That's probably why they value it so much more. Like, I didn't think about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys are like, I like talking to you guys.
You ask good questions.
Yeah, those are good questions.
Okay, so one more question. So, I'm wondering if I should like get into a relationship, or like if I should like look for short-term relationships, or if I should just like grind on like YouTube.
I mean, what do you want?
Yeah, I was like, why do you feel the need to be in a relationship?
I don't know. You know how to answer. Like,
you can answer very bluntly too. Like, what's your driver for what even gave you so if you're having fun doing interviews in YouTube, what makes it feel like there's something in me says I should also have a relationship? Like, what's pushing that? Can I tell how old you are?
What?
How old are you?
23.
Okay. All right. I need frame of reference.
Honestly, I think it's just my lustful side.
Okay.
I think it's just the lustful side, like
Okay.
that just wants a relationship. But then I'd be thinking like, like I probably shouldn't be doing, because like lustful, like I don't know, like lust doesn't get you anywhere. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't.
But it can be fun.
Yeah, it can be fun.
It gets you where you want to be, if that's where you want to be. Like if really all you want to do is have fun and experience,
then have a fun relationship.
Just then have a fun, honest, open relationship with someone else that has that same goal. Okay, we're not trying to get married, we're not trying to like have a long term, we're not going on a bunch of dates, or if you want to get to know people in the process, which I think is better, but you both know that it's casual. Okay, no one is left in the dark. You both know that this is the reason that we're doing this thing. And then if your goal shifts, just be open about that. I really want more, or I want to do something else.
And if you're not on the same page, you got to be okay with that.
Yeah, I think the problem is when people aren't open about their intentions.
It is not. It's way too much effort to try to adapt to what you think they need you to hear for you to get what you want. Like that's, yeah. I can't say they're regrets, but I do know I wasted a lot of time. So Yeah.
How do you like waste a lot of time? Like, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, I probably wasted other people's time. You know, they wanted a thing. I knew it was different than what I wanted. And then also, I'm over here spending all of this effort trying to, like, well, for me to get what I want, I'll kind of I'll meet them halfway over here. So that way we can, you know, and maybe we can both get what we want and find this weird compromise. And in the end, it always kind of ends up messy versus when you just go in and you're like, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm looking for. Or here's what I'm not even sure what I'm looking for, but here I am. Like, you can do what you want with that. If you want to stay, stay. If you want to go, go. And I feel like you end up in a lot healthier place than that. Like, if you have no desire to invest even time into another person, then don't offer it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, if you really are like, I want to do my videos, but, you know, there's this other piece that's there, then, like, make sure they know that. Like, I'm doing videos, but also this could be fun. And when I'm not doing a video, and they're like, yeah, I think that'd be great because I don't want anybody around that I have to answer the phone to all the time anyway, then boom, you got a match, right? If they say anything other than that, you're like, well, I guess that's not going to work out. You keep it moving.
So you can do both at the same time. You don't just have to like do one thing. It doesn't take away from the other thing.
I would say that there's no point in your life that another person couldn't be in if it's the right person.
How do you know if it's the right person? Like, that's something I've been thinking about. Do you just know if it's the right person? Like, how do you know?
You're still like finding that.
Yeah, you just, I mean, just like anything else, like you're asking us questions, like you don't know what a person is going to be about until you ask, you know, or a series of experiences with that person, then you're like, this fits or this doesn't, you know, like, yeah, if you meet a person, you have a good conversation, you both seem like you're physically compatible or whatever, then okay, let's try. If it doesn't work out smoothly, then you can just say that. Just be like, you know, I enjoy this or that, but this is not really the direction that I want to go in. Cool. But I feel like, you know, like, if you continue to like to spend time with that person, you like talking to them maybe more than just to say, hey, you want to hook up, you know, like, I mean, you'll have that feeling like, you know, this person is kind of, we're on the same page. Like, they enjoy life. They enjoy, you know, intellectual conversation and experiencing new things, you know, and everything doesn't have to check off. But if it's more things that check than don't, you know, unless there's like one big thing that's like, okay, this is my, you know, end all be all, whatever. But like, if that doesn't check, then, and all the other stuff does, you just kind of have to think about it. But I mean, if it seems like, you know what, most of these things that I've asked for in my mind or in my heart seem to be there, let's see what happens. And if it works out, cool. If it doesn't, then okay, I learned that maybe there's some other things that I want. So
I think I have two things. So my best friend once told me, anytime you spend time with a person, assess how you feel after you leave them. Like, if you spend time, like, let's say you spend a couple hours with the person, you spend 2 hours with the person, and then you leave. If when you leave, you feel kind of energized by that, you're like, man, that was cool, right? That's probably a good sign. If when you leave, you're like, that was nice, but I'm exhausted, right? You're like, I really like them, but I'm really tired. Like, I'm gonna need to go reset. Yeah, I'm emotionally tired. That may be a sign that they're like, okay, that you guys may be in different places, or that whatever energy that they have may not be just right aligned with yours. Like, you might like them, but there's something in there that may become a strain later, right? And you may not even know what it is. The second thing I found in some of I've had a string of relationships, so let's put it that way. But the second thing that I found is my favorite and most healthy and most growing relationships have been ones where, like, I had an idea of what I wanted, and that person showed me things I didn't even know would be good for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, all right, I got my life in order, or at least kind of. And, you know, and here's the things, you know, as long as they like to read and they want to try new foods and they want an adventure, we should be good. They're funny, whatever. And then I find out like, man, I didn't know I needed a person who can teach me patience. Or I didn't know like it would be so beneficial to, you know, have a person who I started going to these events that I would have never gone to without them. And I've learned a bunch about myself that I wasn't even trying to learn, but now I'm way better for it. Like those are really valuable things. I mean, that's what I get with her all the time is, you know, like we were both in pretty good places. Like I think when we met, I think we both would have been fine being single. We would have been perfectly happy and fine being single. But
do you think like that's the place you should be? Like when you meet a person?
Yes.
You shouldn't be longing and just in a place of like desperation or anything like that. Like you should be completely content with your own company.
Yes.
Like, I mean, there could be a part of you that's like, you know, I am kind of like lonely sometimes, but like if for the most part, you're like, I can take myself to events, I can go enjoy myself or my friends, and I don't necessarily have to have like a significant other to do this, but it would be nice to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a big difference between wanting somebody around because you want to share a moment with somebody. Like, man, I love to travel. Like, I wish someone else was like seeing this funny thing that's happening so I could talk about it later with them. And there's something I feel like is missing in my life, and I'm going to try to go find a person to fill the missing piece I have. That's probably not the best place to be because it means you're putting expectations on them that's not fair to them. Like, they're not there to fill you and make you a whole person. Like, you got to do that by yourself.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes it's those relationships that help you get there. I mean, it is like this doesn't mean it's, you know, whoever the one person is going to be the one person forever. Mm-hmm. You know, I thank you for all my exes for making me a better girlfriend because it's true. It's true. If I hadn't had some of the relationships that hadn't worked out, I'd probably not be good for her. So, yeah.
Okay.
All right, remember my deal?
Yeah. Okay. Last question. What do you want this podcast to be named? Like this episode? You can name anything. What do you guys want it to be named?
Oh yeah.
What was this?
Progress is a process.
That's hard. That's hard.
There it
is. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you. I really like you guys. I can't lie. Like, you guys are cool. Like, I feel like I gained so much wisdom from this. I can't lie.
You too. Thank you. Well, good luck on your podcast.